Blender, and I have seen few of the work. Some students are sending me some work for review, and I'm really, really impressed. Some people have done quite good in their Blender table and chair submissions, and they're actually pretty great. It is mind-boggling what you guys can achieve so quickly. Purab, you have a question, I'm assuming.
Sir, so the place where we have to submit the blender, the table and chair uh
Yes.
program. So we have to draw. I'm not able to submit it. I have made it,
Okay.
but I'm not
Did
able
we
to.
speak about it on WhatsApp?
Okay, sir.
No, sorry. I'm asking you, did we speak on it
No, no,
over
no,
WhatsApp?
no, no,
No.
no, sorry.
All right. So basically, on the website, there might be a file size limitation. If your file size exceeds a certain number, then it becomes difficult to submit. In that case, what you have to do is upload it on your Google Drive. In your Google Drive, you have to make a folder. In
Hmm?
that folder, you put the zip file and then share that folder link on school@e-yantra.org with the link. You should also mention, sir, like
And like
the
it is coming over there. Like if I select it and then submit, it is coming. But then when I click on submit, it is not submitting.
yes. So if you can tell me what is the size of your file, like how many MBs it is, it
Let me.
will be possible. In
Sir, it is 11,008 KB.
that should be able to like accept, the website should be able to accept it. Prem should be able to solve your problem. So why don't you send me a WhatsApp message and we will continue on this after this talk. Let me get back to this talk, and once I finish, then I'll take more doubts. Okay. Uh, Amol, you'll have to wait. I will finish our talk first and then we will take doubts. Okay, this week we will talk about photogrammetry. How many of you have gone through the video tutorials that are there in on the website? How many of you have gone through the video tutorial of how to use photogrammetry software? No one? Okay, cool. No issue. So in week 3, what you have to do is submit a photo of a photogrammetry of a household item. Okay. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that a little. Uh, I will share my screen and I will share a presentation that I had made long time back. But in that presentation, we talk a little bit about photogrammetry and what it is, how does it function, and things like that. And because we are going to use photogrammetry in our competition, it is very important that you understand how the technology works so that you can use that technology to make a 3D model of your artifact. I will share my screen now. Give me 1 second. Let me just go through it. Uh, Prem, are you there? I need sharing access.
Uh, just a minute,
Yes,
sir.
sir. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Huh. Who else that sent it up?
Uh, yeah, I have given access.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let me know if you can see my screen. You can see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So we will talk a little bit about photogrammetry, what it is, and how it can help us. So this talk is called Methods of Capturing Real Life into 3D Models. We'll just go ahead. This is a land profile. Basically, it is a piece of land somewhere. And how do you think scientists were able to distinguish the height of this land piece? Do you have any idea if somebody comes to you and asks you, hey, I want you to make a 3D model of a land? So how will you do it? So what they have done is basically they've used sonar. Okay. Sonar is something which is used in underwater uh, navigation, where in underwater you're not able to see much. So you have to use sonar. You send sound and then reflected sound comes back, and then the computer is able to distinguish where there are gaps, like depending on the time that it takes for some sound to travel. Okay, so it is similar to that, but we use photographs instead of sound. So we'll go ahead. So this is a cyclops. A cyclops is basically a mythical creature which has one eye. So what is the issue of the cyclops is, if you ever played catching the ball with the cyclops will never be able to capture the ball or catch the ball. Why? Can somebody tell me why a cyclops will not be able to like catch a ball? It is very, it is
It
staring you
has
in the
one.
face.
It has
Okay.
one and do not have concentration.
Yes. Like the first part of the answer is correct. It has one eye. So what happens when you have one eye is you lose depth perception. There is something called depth perception. Humans have two eyes. So when you have two eyes, you can distinguish which object is in front and which object is at the back. If you have only one eye, you will not be able to understand where the ball is in space. And because you will not be able to know where the ball is in space, you don't know where to put your hand. So there is mostly trial and error situation. Okay. Now this is how focusing your eyes on one thing works. Like humans are able to focus on one particular thing and blur the rest of the environment. That is called focus. Okay. So, uh, so this is how it happens. Now, point A and point B are on the same level. Okay. Let's assume point B has moved forward. So your eyes are able to distinguish which object is in front because there are two of them. All right. Don't have to think about it much. Let's just assume like your eye is a camera. If there are more cameras, you'll be able to understand depth. If there is only one camera, you will not be able to understand depth. But if there are two or more cameras, you'll be able to understand depth. Okay. So this is how a bowling pin looks like. On the left eye, you see the left side of the bowling pin. On the right eye, you see the right side of the bowling pin. But in your brain, these two images merge and you will see one straight line of bowling pin. Okay. So in your brain is doing that calculation continuously to see where the depth is. So this is an object called Kinect. It is an electronic object. It was provided by Microsoft back in the day. Now it has been replaced by some other object. But what Connect does is if it can capture a human and it can create a stick figure of that human. So if you are moving, the stick figure is also moving. And then you can use a stick figure to basically make 3D shapes like this. Okay. Now, if you can notice, it has two cameras, like two humans, like a human head. A human head has two eyes, it has two cameras. This is so it can capture images from this eye and this eye, and then it can use depth perception to distinguish which object is in front and which object is in back. So Connect is able to delete whatever is there in the back. Yeah, there is a pole, there is a balcony. So all of that it can get rid of because it has two cameras. All right, let's move ahead. Now what is happening? Can you tell me where the cameras are over here? Of course, this is one camera. I can see one camera over here, but it has only one eye, one lens. Now, if you see on the ceiling and on the floor, there are more cameras. There are more than one camera. Okay. Now, and this human is also wearing these white balls. What are these white balls? These are reflective balls. Okay. Tanvi, you have something to say?
No, sir, I wanted to answer.
Okay, okay, cool. So these are reflective balls, and these cameras are specifically capturing only the position of these balls. They're not able to see the entire image. They can only see these balls. So I can send information to a computer from this camera, this camera, this camera, from all these angles. And then the computer can calculate how the human is moving. This is called motion capture. So if you have ever seen any 3D film like Pixar or Disney, people usually, actors, they use motion capture. So this is how it works. Okay. Now that is for moving humans, but I want to capture a human like this. So this is again a setup, but in this setup, you can basically do two things, either capture a still object or you can stack the movements of a human and create a 3D animation of a person. So in this rig, this entire setup, there are cameras everywhere and all of them click at the same time. So what happens is in the computer is going to store all the information that it got by capturing this person in the middle, and then it starts recreating them, decoding them, and create a 3D model. We will see that in a bit. Okay. So this is what it basically does. It recognizes these points and then it calculates, okay, from camera one, it is like this. Camera two, it takes me this time, this much time to go over there. So this is camera one, this is camera two, this is camera three. So with these different angles, this different information, the computer is able to make a 3D model. If you have ever seen this movie, The Matrix, it has actually used this technology. If you have seen these scenes where these people basically dive in midair and the camera basically moves like that. So they have used so many cameras. This is a camera and it is put in on a rail kind of a rig, and then it captures images on each of these cameras and a computer then decides, recreates the 3D of that. Okay. Now there are three ways that we know of that we can capture 3D models. One is photogrammetry that we are predominantly going to use. One is LiDAR, and the other is manual labor, basically using Blender and other add-ons called FSpy. So we will first focus on photogrammetry. So when we were creating this competition, we went to Vasai Fort. Samaya, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, why is Linder having the eye small instead?
Sorry, which one?
The second method, I think LiDAR or
Yeah,
okay, LiDAR.
LiDAR.
Yeah.
Okay, the eye
Why
is
did?
small. Okay,
Yeah.
the Li means light.
Okay.
Okay,
What does
and
FS mean?
uh, this is called F spy. Basically, what it means, I will show you. This is a small software which comes not with Blender. You have to install it separately to work in Blender. When we
Okay,
come
sir.
to this, I will show you what it is. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So we went to Vasai Fort, and in Vasai Fort, if nobody knows where Vasai Fort is, if this is Mumbai, if you go north, you have to take a train basically. If you go north, you will see Vasai Fort. Now, this fort is made by the Portuguese. When Portuguese were in India, they made this fort. And this is the map of that fort. And we went to this place over here. Now, this is here, there is a church. Okay. What is that church? That church is basically this one. The one we are seeing at the back, that is this church. So now this church is very, very big. So we had to use a drone with a camera to fly around this church. Okay. So what did we see? If I click on this, so this is the church. If you see, that is the a normal car over here, and this church is so big. So for people who are thinking, let me take an entire monument to do photogrammetry. If you do not have a drone, then don't take the entire fort or the entire monument. If you want to do the entire monument, you need to have like a drone footage because you want to see what is on the top. But if you're on the ground, you can't see the roof, basically. Okay. So we will go to the next slide. Sorry.
Sir, the artifact can be of anything, right?
Uh, Artifact could be of anything, yes.
Okay. Like monument or any common thing.
I will tell you about the artifact in some time. Let me just finish this. So that is what photogrammetry is. In photogrammetry, what you need to do is there is a particular software. In that software, you have to add photos of an artifact from different angles, and the software is going to calculate and create a 3D model of whatever objects, images you have put. Okay, that is one method. Second method is LiDAR. Okay, so nowadays iPhones have a LiDAR scanner over here. Okay, some iPhones have LiDAR scanners, not all of them. So the advantage of having LiDAR scanner is it can directly take a video of a artifact and create a 3D model on the go. Like it doesn't need to do processing. It can do that parallelly while you are taking the video. Okay. Some examples of devices which have LiDAR are these. Okay. iPhone Pro 2020 and all that. And there are a few apps which access these hardware, and then we can export it to Blender. So I found this arch, this ruins. So if you've ever seen an arch, this is the top of the arch, like a keystone. So I found this in Vasai 4. Then I had an iPad which has LiDAR. So I used LiDAR on this. And what do I see? I captured this entire object and I exported it into Blender. Okay, this is the Blender interface. Now I can use LiDAR and capture many things. And then I can create scenes in Blender very easily. Nowadays, game development, they use LiDAR a lot because in the beginning, you have to make all these models manually. But now, because of LiDAR and photogrammetry, it is very easy to make game assets and create a scene in which, let's assume, a player is running inside ruins. Okay. So this is an example of what LiDAR scanning looks like. LiDAR usually, what happens is it is a little accurate, more accurate, but it has a scale limitation. If a object is very small, let's say jewelry, for example, LiDAR will not be able to capture those objects. Okay. Lastly, we come to FSpy. FSpy is basically an add-on for Blender. We already know what Blender is. Okay. So FSpy means focus. F stands for focus. So every camera has a focus, a focal length, a focal F number or something, a number on which the lens works on. What FSpy does, it calculates the field of view of a picture. So once you install this add-on, although you may not have a drone to capture an entire monument, but if the geometry of that monument is simple, for example, here we have the same Vasai fort that we saw, and we can manually create the 3D model of this Vasai fort using FSpy. Okay, so I put an image in Blender and then I created this 3D model on top of this image, and I was able to do that with FSpy. Okay, and this is how it looks. Now, granted, I cannot see the roof. Okay, because there was no picture of the roof. If I had a picture of the roof, I would be able to use FSpy and create picture also. Okay, there are three differences. Let's put all of them side by side. So in photogrammetry, you will need a good camera phone. The better the quality of the photo, the better will be the result. The process is actually, like, concept-wise, it is very easy. You take a camera, you go around an artifact and take as many pictures as possible, and then you upload it to a software. That software is going to take some time because it only has photographs. So it is going to take some time to calculate the 3D model and create it also. Good thing is photogrammetry is open source. All right. You don't have to pay anything for this. Now then comes LiDAR. Okay, you need hardware. In this you need cameras. Camera is a hardware, but camera everybody has. But LiDAR is a very specific hardware. With camera, you need to have LiDAR also. Okay, so some phones and iPads have LiDAR. What it does is it is very fast. It doesn't wait for the processing like photogrammetry. Okay, it gives you instant results. And but it has to be paid. Okay, because in Apple mostly all the apps are paid apps. So you have to pay for a few apps. Okay. Blender and AppSpy is hard work, but it requires a laptop in which you can run Blender. Process is technical. If you are a beginner in Blender, you will probably not be able to do Blender and AppSpy. It is time consuming and labor intensive. Like you have to spend some time. You have to make every surface by yourself, but it is open source. Basically, you can use this technology without paying anything. Okay. Now let's look at a few examples. I will share my screen and show you something. Let's look at this. Here is a person. I'll make it full screen. I will play this. Now this is a person. I have shown you what this rig does. And this rig is basically, it took a photo of this person right here, okay? Like see if the countdown. Now it just captured photos of this person standing there. Now it is uploading it to this computer. You can see these different images. Now he's cycling through the images, like he's seeing how many images are there. There are 164 images, like they're all in one grid, okay? And once you have those images, you can give it to a software and it will create a 3D model. Essentially, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do for your artifact also. The same thing what you just saw. Do you guys follow Adam Savage by any chance? If you follow Adam Savage, this person basically works with hardware and he has worked in movies like Star Wars and other places like that. Okay. So people go to him for hardware related problems. So he has gone to this studio where the same technique is being used. And because it is very instantaneous, you can take photographs of animals and create 3D models. If you have ever tried, like, you should actually go try making a 3D model of an animal also using photogrammetry. You will see it is extremely difficult because the animal does not stay still. But using that rig that we just saw, you can create 3D models of animals also. So what is the advantage? If you see, this is a 3D model. All of these are humans. And this company, what it does is it puts those people in the middle of the rig and it takes a photo of those people in 1 second and gives it to a computer to make a 3D model. And then that computer then prints those 3D models with color and makes a souvenir like that, miniature people, basically. And this is what it does. You can
Sir,
print it in different sizes. Yes,
sir, for photogrammetry, do we need those three or whole 360 view? Like it can be done by normally, or we need 360 view.
it depends on your artifact. I will tell you basically. Give me 1 second. We will go to each of those things. So I think we understand a little bit of what these are. Now this is the same rig, okay? You see there are cameras over here and they keep taking photograph of a person who is in the center. It is lit from all angles. So there are no shadows anywhere. If there are dark areas or shadows, the computer will not be able to process it because it needs to know where the depth is. Okay. Any questions till now? Any question?
Sir, which software could we use to do this?
Yes, I will tell you that exactly. Now, this is Adam Savage wearing an astronaut suit and inside that rig. Now they have already created a 3D model. If you see, the 3D model is already there. Okay, now what they will do is they will start printing. You should actually have a look at what they do. They can print and eventually they will make a 3D model out of it. Okay, now here is Adam Savage in a armor. Here is Adam Savage in his normal clothes and with astronaut. Okay, so this is a very nice way of making 3D models. Now, next question. There are two questions in line. Do I have to take 360-degree view of all the artifacts? It depends on your artifact. If your artifact is supposed to be viewed 360-degree, like a statue, for example, then you also have to take 360-degree view. Needs to have as much information as possible. All right. If you get rid of that information, you will see degradation of your results. Now, the next question is, which software to use? Have you tried the software called Kiri Engine? Okay. There is a YouTube channel where you can go and learn what Kiri Engine does if you go into videos. And let's just see one example where Kiri Engine is being used. Okay, let me open. Okay, let's see what this video does. So it can capture all these things. Now, what kind of objects can you capture? Suppose there is a tree. Tree is very, very difficult to do photogrammetry on. Okay, you can't do photogrammetry on tree-like things. Okay, let's type photogrammetry and limits. Let's type photogrammetry limits and see what happens. So shiny objects also become very difficult. What happens with shiny objects is the light keeps changing. Like for example, in this, there is this light because it is made out of metal. The light is over here. But if you move, the light is also going to move and come over here. So two photographs of the same object, because the light was here, then the light will come over here if you go into another view. Then shiny objects become really, really difficult to do photogrammetry on. Similarly with glass. So glass is see-through. You can see the glass is transparent, little bit of color. So this becomes very difficult for the photogrammetry software to make a 3D model of, because the information is not constant. So you can't really do photogrammetry of glass. Third thing is, there is this very, very thin member over here and a very thin member over here. So if you have very thin objects, you can't do photogrammetry. It has to be thick objects. All right. So three things are present over here, which is this is a very good example. So if you ever try, actually you should try Kiri engine on sunglasses or whatever glasses you have and see the results and check it out yourselves to see what happened. So to the opposite of this, if an object is not shiny, means it is matte color, it does not have transparent material like glass or mirror or things like that, then it is good. And it should not have thin objects. So that could be a cactus plant, let's say. Let's say this one. So this is easy to do photogrammetry of because it does not have thin members. It is fat, like it is easily distinguishable from the background. Okay. So it can do, it will give you good results if you do photogrammetry of this basically. Tanvi, you have a question.
Sir, I wanted
Yes.
to ask, like, can you give some examples on which, artifacts we can select for a photogrammetry, which would be, like, it would be perfect, it would not have any difficulty or it should be a 3D thing. Yeah, when in the last session you had said that it should not be a painting or a script or something like that.
Yes.
So can you give an example of a 3D objects like from which I can choose or think of?
Okay, cool. I will do that. So let's look at a few examples. Let's say, let's go into the realm of statues, okay? And then we'll move on to photographs or books or things like that. Let's assume you want to create a photogrammetry of this object, okay? Let me open this image. Can we see this image? Can someone confirm?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Yes.
Now, tell me with whatever I have said, can we do a photograph uh, of this sculpture, let's say? Can we
No,
do
sir.
a photogrammetry of this sculpture? What is the reason?
Sir, background.
Okay, Purab says background.
Sir, it
Uh,
has too many details and it is
it has too many details, correct, and it has thin members. Okay, three things we have identified. One more thing, if you can tell me what it is.
it is
It,
shiny.
yes, it is shiny. And Pinak, tell me what it is.
Sir,
What?
there is only photo of one side and it's quite too complicated.
Correct. It is complicated. One last thing is it is very tall. How will you take images from the top? Yeah, that does that make sense? Cool.
Yes, sir.
So all your points are correct. It has shiny material. So if you move, the light will also move. Tanvi, you want to add something?
So in the the main the final what do you say submission, we'll have to
Yes.
use Kiri engine.
Kiri engine we recommend because it gives you free export. It gives you 3 free exports if you sign in, basically. Sign up, not sign in, sign up. If you
Okay.
create a new account. So Kiri engine gives you 3 exports. Otherwise, you can pay for an app. It takes you like 500 rupees per month. So you can buy one subscription and then cancel the subscription after the the competition gets over. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Cool. Okay. Now coming back to this, shiny surfaces. Strict no-no. Too complex geometry. Okay? It is merging with the background. There is no clear distinction where the sculpture is ending and where the background is beginning. There are very thin objects in the sculpture. And lastly, it is too tall. It is difficult for me to take photographs from the top. Let's look at another object. Let's look at this, okay? Let's click on this and open image in a new tab. How about this? Let's decode this object. Can you tell me, is this a good object or a bad object
It's
for
too tall
photogrammetry?
for taking photos from above.
Correct. Okay. Uh, so parameter number one is how tall is the object. Okay. Now let's go into parameter number two, which is, let's say, material. Is the material good for photogrammetry?
Yes, sir, it doesn't reflect too much light.
Correct. Because it does not have too much shiny surfaces, it is good for photogrammetry. Let's go into parameter number three, geometry. Is the geometry good to do photogrammetry on?
Sir, the geometry is good, not too much detail, but the views, proper top view and all the views are not given.
So views are basically height parameter. So we already established height wise, if I have a drone or a selfie stick, I will probably be able to get good photographs from the top. Okay. So geometry wise, it is a good example, but one place where it can get messy is these rains over here, these thin rains on the hots. Maybe this is where photogrammetry will fail. You can see my cursor, correct?
Sir, also on the leg, like the leg support, that would be also.
Leg support, like over here. You can see my cursor, correct?
Sir,
My cursor is over here. There,
yes.
here. So this and this will become difficult for the software to distinguish. But otherwise, everything else seems like a decent geometry. Like there is good volume over there. Okay, geometry is sorted, material is sorted. Uh, Background. Is it distinguishable from the background?
Yes,
Is it?
sir.
Yes. So it is a good object to do photogrammetry on. The only issue we have is the height parameter. You can't get views from every angle. I have a question over here. So can we do it with professional cameras too, like Nikon or Sony? You can do it with Nikon and Sony. Issue is how will you upload it to Kiri Engine? Kiri Engine is a phone app. You have to use a phone. There is a software where you can use it on your desktop. But so have you ever seen the size of the image that these camera phones, these professional cameras, they generate? Each file is, each photograph is 25 MBs. And you need at least 40 photographs, around an artifact to create like a good result. So how many GBs is that? Can the software that you are using take so much of information? Okay. So my suggestion would be, yes, you can use professional cameras, but that is for professional settings. For example, a museum will probably use a professional camera because that is their job. A museum is supposed to document their art. But for our purposes, we will stick to phone camera and phone apps. Tanmaya, you have a question?
Sir, can we use selfie stick for tall artifacts?
I suggest you guys use selfie stick for tall artifacts. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Try to avoid tall artifacts. But if you really, really want to do tall artifacts, then you should go try it with a selfie stick also.
Okay,
Okay?
sir.
Cool. So this and this is done. Let's look at some other artifacts. Okay. Uh, I'm looking for something interesting. How about this? Open image in new. Could you tell me, is this a good candidate for photogrammetry?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's go through the parameters. I don't know how tall it is. Let's assume it is human height. Okay. We are able to see the top also. Second is the material shiny? So what is the answer?
Yes, sir, the material is shiny.
Yes, it is shiny.
Yes,
Okay.
it is shiny.
Third is the geometry good or bad?
It's simple,
Sir,
sir. It's
sir, the
like
geometry
good.
is bad because it has too many holes.
Correct.
Yes,
Nalin,
sir.
Nalin is correct. Because it has too many holes, you can see other holes through this hole. So one camera angle and another camera angle will have different size of black and white. So the photogrammetry software will get confused. Which one is true? Is this photograph true or is this photograph true? So although the geometry is simple, because there are holes in the geometry, this is not okay. This is also the same reason why you will not be able to do a photogrammetry of trees because trees have too many holes in them. All right, cool. So now you guys are getting it. You're getting the gist of the entire thing. So with all this new information, I want you to go find objects in your household which you think are good examples of photogrammetry. Use Kiri engine. Let me type Kiri engine. Use Kiri engine, this software, on your phones and make a 3D model of it. Sound simple?
Yes, sir, sir, like, could we like do anything in our home?
Yes. The assignment is trying to test how well do you understand photogrammetry. So you do trial and error. Okay. You do it with a transparent object also. You try it with a shiny object also. You try it with an object with lots of holes. You try it with object which has complex geometry. And you try it with an object which is right with all of those things. And see what the differences are. The reason why we want you to do this is now once you practice this and go to the site, we don't want you to go there and be all lost on how the software is working. I want you guys to go to the site and look at an artifact and say, oh, this is good for photogrammetry. This is not good for photogrammetry. You should be able to make that distinction between artifacts. Which artifact is good for photogrammetry and which is not. Tanvi, Tanvi, you have a question?
Yes. I had some doubts. First doubt is like how to like download the Kiri engine or some like how to start with using it.
Okay. Google Play. Do you have a Android phone or a Google phone?
Uh,
Sorry, Google phone or an Apple phone?
Sir, are laptops okay?
No, you need a camera.
Okay,
How will
sir.
you
I have
take your
an Apple
laptop
phone, sir.
to? Okay, so it is available on App Store also. So if you just search for Kiri Engine and just install it. Once you install it, it will actually teach you how to do photogrammetry inside the app. Okay. Basically, you have to take a lot of photographs. We have also done the same on EYSRC portal also. So let's just go there. So this is what Kirinjan app looks like. There are many apps, as a matter of fact. If you just type photogrammetry, there is Polycan, there is Reality Scan, there is Pix for Catch, there is Kirinjan, X1, so many are already there. But we recommend Kirinjan because it gives you 3 free exports. Other can also give you, but we haven't explored much. So
Okay.
if you guys want to try something else also, that is also fine. Pinak, you have a question?
Yes, sir. Is Kiri Engine compulsory a mobile app or can we use PC to edit, etc.?
Sorry, which one? PC2?
Can we install the Kiri app to edit or to operate the app in PC?
Kiri Engine is a phone app. It is not a desktop app. Okay. For desktop, if you want to do it with desktop, like it depends, like if you have like a good GPU, you need a good GPU. What Kiri Engine does, it uploads all those files to the server. It calculates all that data in the server because they have GPUs and then sends you back the result. Okay. But if you want to do it locally on your computer and use your computer's resources, you need to have a good GPU to do it. If you don't have a good GPU, don't do it. You will not go anywhere. Tanvi, you have another question?
Yes, sir. I have two more doubts. So, do we have to like differentiate that this is a good object or that is not a good object for photogrammetry in the submission?
No, no. I just want to see how good your household item photogrammetry is.
And
If
sir,
you're, yeah, tell me.
uh, does like does it depend on the size for the marks or uh,
Size doesn't matter.
but like if it's more hard or it's complex and if I have done it well, so will it
You,
have more marks or
yes,
something?
yes, yes. There is a distinction between good photogrammetry and bad photogrammetry. If your photogrammetry has holes in it, or if your photogrammetry, you're not able to capture like 360-degree view, or your mesh is not being generated properly, then marks will be cut. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
And if, for example, I took a pen for photogrammetry, now my lights are on, that's why it is having more reflection. So is it okay if the pen has no reflection on it and like I have made it on that the photogrammetry of it?
Okay. So now this is a contradiction. Without light, you can't do photogrammetry because you will not be able to see the pen only. The photograph will not have any light on it. Okay. So you need to have lights. But if the pen is reflective and you have to turn on the lights to take like good photographs. So you try it with your Kiri engine. Basically, that is why I said try it with reflective, try it with transparent and other such materials and see which one works and not. You try it with that pen. Now, if now this is a good point. If somebody wants to do a pen, like make a 3D model of a pen using photogrammetry, let's go through the parameters again. You can take 360-degree view of that pen, yes or no?
Yes.
Uh, let's assume pen doesn't have transparent material and the pen doesn't have reflective material also. So that is also okay. Let's go into geometry. Will the geometry of the pen cause any issue?
Sir, the pen cap, like which we hang it on our shirt, it is a little thin.
Yes. Also, it will be very, very difficult for a pen because the cameras that we are using, no, they are good for a certain scale. Pen is small, okay? Now,
Yes.
if you use a phone cameras also have focal length. Sometimes some phone cameras are good with small photographs, like they can take small photographs of small objects. Some phone cameras can take like photos of very large objects very nicely. But when you zoom in and try to take photographs of small objects, most of the phone cameras, they start glitching. They blur things out. They're not able to focus. So let's assume if it is a small thing, it becomes very difficult to take good photographs. You need a good camera which can do macro photography, sorry, micro photography to have like good photographs. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Okay. Uh, so the same case, good camera phone too. Okay, cool. Uh, Bhautik is saying laptop version is working. What is working? Bhautik? Okay, Bhautik is not here. I guess everything is sorted. I'm just going through the chat over here. So can we do professional cameras? I've answered that. So it's the same case with good camera phones. Cool. Okay, cool. I think I've told you about the phone cameras. Phone cameras are good with a certain scale. Okay. Sometimes it becomes very difficult to take good photos of small objects. So phone cameras have a limitation of scale. They can't take good photographs of small objects. All right, cool. Any question till now?
Madhu sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sir. Like after the questions are done, before we close, I think it will be best if we once again tell them the difference between what is required for the photogrammetry and the artifact selection, so that they don't confuse between the two.
Why don't you explain it? I think we are done here. At
Okay.
least I am done. And when the doubt comes, I'll clear them. Yeah, so you take over. Prajyot, you have a question?
Sir, you said that we should book a slot for discussion. Is there discussion about artifact we selected or to ask any doubts?
This is artifact selection. Hello?
Means you told to book a slot, right?
Yes, this is for artifact selection. Because you
Okay,
are
sir.
sending us a proposal, me and Sanjana are going to basically go through that proposal and see if two things. If there is enough material on the internet for you to do research on that artifact. And number two, can you do a photogrammetry of that artifact? So we are going to see and accept. If both are true, then you can go
Okay, sir.
ahead with that artifact. Otherwise, we will tell you, please change your artifact because there is some limitation. Okay, cool.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
One other thing, yes, slot booking is available on the website. Team formation is activated on the website, so you guys can go and register your teams. All right. So when teams are being formed, Now every submission, history related submission, is a team submission. If one person submits, everybody gets points. Okay, so it is better all of you work. And only one person has to submit. So please talk to each other. One person take the responsibility of submission. If that person is not able to do it, pass it on to another person. If today I'm not able to submit, you submit it. But only one person has to submit. Or if there are 4 people in the team, only one person has to submit. I'm emphasizing on this. Okay. Sanjana, you are there?
Yes, I think Bhotik is back again because he dropped in another message regarding Kiri engine working. Bhotik, are you here? Okay, so Tanvi, to answer your question, photogrammetry is simply the technique of making 3D models with the use of photograph. Is that easier?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Uh, Again, Bhotik, are you here? Alright. So just for clarification, now that most of you all have understood what photogrammetry is, we suggest that first of all you go over all the videos that are there in the learning resources section because they will help you understand exactly what is required in week 3 submission. Okay. Now week 3 has 2 submissions. Just give me a minute. Week 3 has 2 submissions. One submission is, as Madhu sir has mentioned today, it is photogrammetry of a household object. You have to take any object at your place that you can find that fits the requirements of photogrammetry that Madhu sir has just discussed. And you have to do a photogrammetry of that. And then you have to upload that as problem statement 2. Alright. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see the portal. Alright. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is week 3. We have 2 problem statements. Problem statement 2 is what Madhu sir just told you all to do today. At your home, look for an object that you can do photogrammetry of. This is for your practice to get a handle of how to do photogrammetry, what all is required, just to make sure that your final results when you do the artifact photogrammetry, they come in very well. Okay? Now, this has to be problem statement 2 is a PNG submission, which is an image format. So once your 3D model is rendered in Kiri engine, once the model is generated, you have to click an image of it and upload it here. Okay? Upload your submission here and submit. Now, this is an individual submission. Every single participant has to submit this, whether you're in a team or not. Now, problem statement 1 is the history related submission that Madhu sir just told you all, which if you are in a team, only one person submits. Okay, if you're not in a team, you have to submit it by yourself. Okay, for this particular submission, you have to visit any museum, any heritage site. The heritage site could be a temple, it could be an old monument that you see if there are any sculptures, any aspects of that monument that you feel like you want to work with. Cross check those with your photogrammetry requirements. Can you access it? Is photography allowed? Is there enough light? Can you go around the object? And most importantly, is the object at least 100 years old? Okay, that is the requirement for selecting your artifact. So, problem statement 1 is a history related team task. So, you select an object, write a proposal on it, and submit it here in a PDF format. Week 2 task is an individual task where you do photogrammetry of a household object. I hope submission requirements are clear for all of you.
Yes, ma'am.
A tip for all of you is that if you're selecting an object, I mentioned this last session also, make sure the object is within your reach. The site is within your reach. If you're going to have to travel more than an hour's time from your place to the place your object is in, it becomes a little inaccessible for you to travel back and forth. Okay? Because it may be possible that you could have to visit the site more than one time. Okay? So, make sure that you're being very wise about selecting where your object is. If you have any doubt as to where you can find an object around you, you can get in touch with me and I will help you identify places around you that you can go to. If there isn't an immediate museum or a known heritage site around you, the easiest place to look for is temples. Are there any old temples or even churches for that matter around you? Okay? Because they are for sure to provide you with at least one sculpture that you can work with, one inscription that you can work with, something of the sort. Okay? If you can't identify that, get in touch with me. We'll figure out where you can visit and how you can visit. Some websites that you can look for is ASI website. I'm going to drop the name here. We call it Archaeological Survey of India. That will usually give you heritage sites that are definitely 100 years old. Okay, Prajot, I'll take your question first and then I'll go to Tanvi. Yes, Prajot?
Ma'am, should we submit a PNG file of 3D model or directly give GLB file?
No. For your photogrammetry of household object, the submission requirement is a PNG file. Okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Tanvi?
Yes, sir, ma'am, I wanted to ask, is there any way like you can see the object or like the artifact from via internet and then you can just view it 360 or something like that?
Now, in some cases, that is available. For example, certain museums do have their digital archive or the digital repository of artifacts which they put in 360 model format. But that may not always be possible for you to do. Okay? What you can, however, do is when you look for site, Google the site. Okay, Google the place.
Yes.
You will find images of that place. Then you will be able to know is there anything that you can work with there. If the place is close to you, great. You can go there, visit, figure out. Especially for those who will be going to museums, I suggest you all do what I did is that if you find objects, first of all, if you're going to museums, please confirm if photography is allowed there. While majority of the museums allow photography, you will have to probably pay a small charge for photography. But there are museums that are not open to visitors taking pictures of the artifact. Okay, so just make sure the place that you're visiting allows photography. If it does, open Kiri Engine while you're going to the museum. If there are a couple of objects that you like, you feel like, okay, this is interesting, I want to work with this. Or I would personally like to learn more about what this object is. Go ahead and do a photogrammetry on Kiri Engine right there. It takes about 15-20 minutes for it to upload and get queued and develop as a project in Kiri Engine. In the meantime, you can go around other places in the museum to see if there's something else is interesting. Okay?
Okay,
If
thank you.
if you all are still doubtful about whether you can take an object or not, you can always drop Madhu sir and me and image of the object so that we get to see if the object is in proper lighting. Is it going to be suitable for photogrammetry or not? We'll be able to tell you that. Somebody's asked me if they can go to Ajanta Ellora. Yes, you can. Ajanta Ellora is a brilliant place to work with, but please note that in Ajanta Ellora or any cave site that has paintings like Kanheri in Mumbai or Elephanta Caves near Mumbai, Ajanta Ellora. Okay, these places are very ancient, and the paintings and drawings on the wall are very light sensitive. You might not be able to take images of sculptures which are inside the cave because caves are not that well lit or like natural light नहीं होता है caves में. Very rarely that is available. Okay, and the lights which are usually put in Ajanta Ellora are very sharp light or any cave site if it has light. Okay, if it has light, it is very sharp lighting which may not be appropriate for photogrammetry. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Kailash Temple Ellora, absolutely yes, because it has ample of open lighting. There's a lot of space to move around in and out of that place, and there's a lot of sculptures on the outside of the temple as well. So yes, if you can visit Ellora and you can get things done, that'll be brilliant. Pradnesh, you can go ahead with that. But just make sure you're not taking a sculpture or any image that is too tall. Okay? And that applies to everybody. Make sure that if you're visiting cave sites, inside you may not find adequate lighting. So please keep that in mind. Okay? We encourage you to drop us images of your objects so we can cross check with you all. We can let you know whether to go ahead with it or not. But please do not avoid visiting the site. Visiting the site is absolutely imperative so that you get an actual real time idea of how the object looks and can you do photogrammetry on it or not. Okay? Any doubts? You're most welcome, Pradnesh. Okay. So I don't think there are any more doubts. Also, oh yes, one last thing. We've already mentioned that extension for if you all have gone through the recap email that was sent to you after the last live session. This is a 2 week time given to you all. So extensions will only be provided in exceptional cases. If you all are having exams during submission time, please make sure that your extension requests are sent to us on the email which has already been dropped in the chat box. Make sure that you are writing to us with regards to your extension. If it is your exams that are coinciding with your submission schedule, then make sure that your exam schedule is attached to the email so that we have an idea of who is getting an extension, who is not, whether to give you an extension or not. Okay? Alright. Madhusa, I think we can close since they have no other doubts.
All right, cool. I just want to show them like a few things, like what are people doing with photogrammetry nowadays.
Sure, sir.
So let me just quickly show that to them. How many of you play games, by the way? Oh, cool. Uh, I need to show you a few things. So there's this, let me just share my screen. You can see my screen. So this person, they have basically used photogrammetry to make a street in Tokyo, put it in Unreal Engine, and then create this scene. Okay, all of this is using photogrammetry. There is another example. This looks like real footage, but this is actually a game, by the way. This is in Unreal Engine again. And all these assets, these are actual buildings which are being done, like made photogrammetry of, made 3D models, and then put in the game. Again, over here, we see a pipeline on how to make this scene. Let me just speed it up. This is a scene used, like made in Unreal. And how do you think that person made this? So a plane being crashed. This plane is actually a 3D model of a toy and then put in Unreal Engine to make this scene. Okay. So like I said, you can't do photogrammetry of trees, but in Unreal Engine, there are ready-made trees which are procedurally generated. Okay. And then they talk about how they use Kiri Engine to scan objects. This is that 3D model of a plane. They've scanned trees, tree trunks. Tree trunks are fine. You can scan tree trunks. You can't scan foliage, basically, branches and leaves. And they put it in Unreal and they made a scene. And finally, this is the result. Some lighting, some editing, some color correction. And finally, you have that scene again. Okay, so people are doing crazy things with photogrammetry. You will also do lots of things, don't worry. So get excited, do something with the knowledge that you gained today, and do photogrammetry of household items. Download that app, Kiri Engine. It gives you 3 free exports apparently. Let's say pricing. It gives you 3 free exports per week. So you have like, you can keep doing that. So you can take like unlimited scans, but you can only export 3 times a week. Okay. So you can keep trying new things. As long as you don't export them, you can keep building up your library. All right, cool. Okay, guys. So all the best, and I hope we have learned something new today, and hope to see you next time. Bye.
Also, just one last thing. We have dropped or we have attached a few sample project proposals in the email that will give you an idea of what exactly you have to find information on or what kind of research you all will be doing. Okay, so if you find something like iconography mentioned in the project proposal, Google it. See what it means. Is that something you're interested in? Okay, take a look at that. So it will give you an idea of what to look for when you're researching an artifact or what kind of information is available on the artifact. Nalin, you have a question?
So like the scan I'm doing is like 118 MB of like storage, and the maximum I can submit is like 2 MB. So what should I do?
Now, which submission is this?
Sir, third week.
Third week is a household item.
Yes, sir.
House photogrammetry of household item. You send me a WhatsApp, I'll talk to you over WhatsApp. Okay. Tanvi, you have a question?
Sir, I wanted to ask, does the artifact have to be the whole 360 or it can be more than 180 and less than 360?
It depends on the artifact. If your artifact is embedded in a wall, let's say, then you can't go behind the wall. So you have to do 180 degree. But if your artifact is a standing artifact, like a statue, it is supposed to be viewed from all angles. Then you also have to move 360 degree.
So is there marks on how much
No,
like angle is?
no. The final product has to be a good photogrammetry, basically.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Nalin, you have a question? Okay, cool.
No, sir.
Okay, Nalil, send me your question on WhatsApp. I'll sort that out. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. I think everybody's on the same page, and all the best for your household item photogrammetry. It is not a photogrammetry of the household item, but for you to learn photogrammetry. How well can you understand photogrammetry, the concept? All right. Cool. Oh, see you guys. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye,
Bye, sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Deepa ma'am, if you're in the meeting, could you like wait back for 5 minutes?
Prem, you can stop recording.